Alright, so let's do a little bit of a news of the week kind of thing. And this week, I'm going to do a bit of a short version of news of the week because not only there isn't really a lot of news that happened this week, but it is currently 11:31 p.m. and I want to get this done as quick as possible so I can upload it and then go to bed and have to wake up at 7:30 in the morning to go to school. So, first news of this week happened yesterday, and that this news kind of shocked a lot of people. So, the Montreal Impact decided that they are going to fire Remi Garde, and that they literally recently fired Houston Dynamo head coach Wilmer Cabrera right on the spot. And what's shocked about this news is not only the fact that, Remi Garde, of course, getting fired, and that we knew that he maybe eventually would be let go by Montreal at the end of the season, since his contract does expire at the end of the season. But we didn't think that he was going to be fired right away right now, despite the fact that the Impact has been in a very poor run in the last couple of weeks. But what's even more surprising is that I think this is probably the first time I have covered MLS where a team decided to let go of a head coach, and then they instantly said that they're already going to hire the next head coach right on the spot. And that we've seen so many times before where teams, when they decide to fire a head coach, they kind of have like an announcement about why exactly that is the case, and then that they of course are looking for the next candidate. Nope. That's not what Montreal is doing here, and instead they immediately decided that they are going to hire Wilmer Cabrera, who just recently got fired. And I know a couple of weeks, or I think it was last week when Cabrera, of course, got fired, I said that I won't be surprised he is going to get another shot in MLS or in another league in Central America, because of the fact that I think he's not really that bad of a coach as some Dynamo fan might say he is. But I definitely did not expect that literally 5 days after he got fired from the Dynamo, that he now have another job with the Impact. And what's also weird about this kind of signing is that, one of the reasons why Wilmer Cabrera wasn't really successful with the Dynamo is because the Dynamo didn't really back him in terms of the players that he wants and the finance that he wants. I mean, the Dynamo has been notoriously being the cheapest team in the league, and that, Cabrera, he wants to spend more to get some star-studded player, but, the front office refused to do that, and eventually they kind of fell out. And now he decided to join the Impact, who is another team that is notoriously known as a team that doesn't really spend a lot of money and tends to be very cheap. So basically, he decided to now go from a team that has been just being way too cheap to him, and that he's not happy about that, to now joining another team that is also going to be way too cheap in terms of him trying to, of course, get some star-studded player that he wants. Yeah, this kind of coaching change makes absolutely no sense, and I am really surprised why Wilmer Cabrera decided to that. I mean, unless he might think that Montreal is going to get some of those star-studded talent, that they're going to give some money to him in order to spend some of the players that he want to get, then it would make sense. But when you look at these last couple of seasons, Montreal hasn't really spent a lot of money in terms of getting some well-known kind of player. Like, you haven't really hear a lot of news talk about Montreal getting a star-studded player ever since they got Didier Drogba a couple of years ago. So yeah, this is definitely a very weird kind of coaching change, but we'll see if this of course will work out, and whether or not if Wilmer Cabrera can lead this team to the playoffs, who is a team that is just hanging barely to their chances of making the playoffs and just above the red line right now. Now, the St. Louis, of course, become the 28th team in MLS, and the reason why I actually did not decided to make a expansion video talk about how St. Louis, of course, have now become the 28th team in MLS, and that they, of course, become the next team part of this expansion race. The reason why I didn't make a single video is because the fact that we knew St. Louis was going to come into the league. Like, St. Louis and Sacramento was definitely going to be that 28th and 29th spot. And I know after the announcement of St. Louis, there was a lot of people that immediately just kind of said that, well, there you go, there is another team that Sacramento, of course, have to, of course, wait for them to go into the league before they have a chance to go into MLS. And that, once again, that expansion kind of announcement has passed by Sacramento again. But I have no doubt that Sacramento probably is going to get that 29th team, and that, St. Louis, with the way that we kind of, like, even before the league announced that they were going to expand the expansion to 30 team, we knew that St. Louis was going to be the next team to come into the league. So that's why I decided not to make an announcement, because we kind of knew for a while that they were going to be the next team in, but it's just when exactly they are going to announce that, which they, of course, announced it on Tuesday, and that they, of course, will be start playing in 2022. Now, Matt Turner has signed a multi-year contract extension with the New England Revolution, and this is a well-deserved contract for him, considering the fact that he has definitely been, I think he's definitely been the most underrated goalkeeper in the league right now. Like, when you talk about the elite goalkeeper that we had in this league right now, I don't think a lot of people would say Matt Turner would be one of the best goalkeeper in the league. But when you look at how he's been performing throughout the season with the Revs, and really throughout these last 2 years, he has really developed to be one of the best goalkeeper in the league. And that, I think the reason why he's not getting a lot of recognition is because he's on the Revs, and the Revs is not known to be a team that usually get a lot of recognition until recently, because they, of course, got Bruce Arena, and that they, of course, are on this crazy run that they finally, of course, get the recognition that they deserve. Now, moving on into the next news is where I'm going to be talking about fines and suspension. And I'm going to be mostly talking about fines because there were a couple of fines that was issued by the disciplinary committee. The first fine was that the disciplinary committee, it's kind of almost like a tongue twister there, but Disco decided that they're going to fine FC Dallas and Montreal for violating the league mass confrontation policy for the second time. So, of course, if you're a team that violates this policy the first time, you get a warning. But since this is the second time for both of these teams, that's why they, of course, are going to be fined. And as well as Luchi Gonzalez, and I believe Remi Garde is still going to be fine with this, even though he, of course, just recently got fired, and that, since he was in charge of that game, even though you, of course, just got let go by the team, you are still going to be kind of hold accountable in terms of getting fined for that, which kind of sucks, because you already had a bad week of getting fired, and now you are gonna get a notice envelope from the disciplinary committee that you have been fined because of your team violating the league mass confrontation policy for the second time. Now, Disco also fined Rudy Camacho for violating the league policy in terms of hands to the face, and then they also fined Maxi Morales, Roger Espinoza, and Diego Rossi for simulation and embellishment. And, it's definitely not surprised when you see three of the most notoriously player that's known for diving to be fined for simulation and embellishment. And in fact, I am actually really surprised these three guys doesn't usually belong into the disciplinary committee, the list in terms of simulation and embellishment more. I mean, I know Maxi Morales, this is not the first time that he, of course, got fined by that, but I'm actually surprised Diego Rossi and Roger Espinoza doesn't get on this list more often. I think maybe for Espinoza, the reason why he doesn't get on this list very often is because he hasn't been playing a lot for SKC, and that he has been injured for most of the season. But I'm very surprised Diego Rossi is not on the list more often, because more time or not, Diego Rossi is going to at least make one dive or one embellishment that you clearly think that he should be fined for that. But nope, that of course is not the case, and that finally it is the case in the last game when LAFC played, where Diego Rossi got fined for that. And it has to be something very egregious and just so obvious that he needs to get fined for that the disciplinary committee finally put the hammer down on Diego Rossi for, of course, simulation and embellishment. Now, the disciplinary committee did rescind a red card during this week, and that they decided to resent Niko Gaitan red card against the Union. And this is something that I talked about during the review, where, again, I don't think that was a red card in my opinion, mainly because I know Niko Gaitan did kind of went behind with a sliding challenge, and usually when you decide to go take out a player with a sliding challenge from behind, you are definitely risking of getting a red card. But when I look at that instant, it wasn't really studs up, and that I guess it was more kind of a frustration foul, more than actually a reckless kind of challenge, and that, in any day I would have given that as a yellow card and a caution there. But I was kind of surprised that he, of course, got a straight red for that, and that it's good to see that this committee kind of agreed with me the fact that, yeah, that was a little bit too harsh to be a red card, and that's why they decided that they are going to resent Niko Gaitan red card against the Union. But yeah, either way, guys, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. I know I probably missed a couple of important news because when I got home, I literally got on the computer and trying to look at as many important news that I have to talk about on this board, which there wasn't really a lot. And then, of course, I have to do this video on kind of a short notice. But, if I did miss some important news that you want me to talk to, let me know in the comments below, and I, of course, will happily reply to what I thought about that news. But either way, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. And, oh, by the way, before I end this video, tomorrow I, of course, will first do the preview for the weekend games, because the last game of the midweek action doesn't end until 8:30 my time. And then, of course, I will be doing the review for the midweek games, which, here's a little hint, there were definitely a lot of crazy things that happened, even just in tonight's Heineken rivalry week, where if we're going to get something that spicy like what we saw in these first 3 games in Heineken rivalry, man, I am in for a very kind of, it could be a very long video in terms of the review, where I have to dissect every single confrontation and every single red card that could potentially happen during the game, or every single moment that, could be something that I have to really discuss a lot, whether, of course, it's VAR kind of controversy, or the fact that a coach, of course, got sent off and that he shouldn't have been sent off in that instant. But either way, guys, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.